guys, we are back on the Social Blue Book Talk About Your Feelings Hour. Tuning in today, we have an old buddy, Tim Schmoyer. I remember when you had your twins and you tweeted me, you're like, you tweeted, you had 6 kids at the time. And it was like, we have more kids than you now. And I felt like a real competition. I did. I was like, babe, the Schmoyers have more kids than us. What are we doing? And then you just had your 7th. So,
yeah,
I mean,
don't try to catch up.
I will not.
We love our 7, but you're great.
We can borrow some of yours sometime. So I've known Tim for a long time. He is a great guy in the space. Has helped a lot of people with his business, video creators, and has really figured out a lot of the tips and tricks to this industry that a lot of people are trying to figure out. And he's aggregated it all on his channel. And I know a lot of you have experienced more success on YouTube because of him. What made you start all that? What was your I keep asking people this. What was your very first YouTube video? Dax Flame was I don't know if anybody remembers Dax Flame, but he was the very first YouTuber I found.
Oh yeah, I didn't find like a YouTuber back then. It was I was doing blogging at the time. As a not full-time blogger yet, but I was writing more, and more and more people were taking videos and putting them on their website. And I saw this one person did this thing on YouTube, and I was like, what is this? And I just, similar to your story, you spent all night, just like one night, just like lost time. And I was, same thing. I was just like, what are all these videos? People are like, what are they doing? And so I was in graduate school halfway across the country from my family at the time, and was dating this girl, and I was like, oh, this could be a good way for me to introduce her to my family back home. And so I made like one little video, like 30 seconds. Remember when they used like ribbon on cameras?
Yeah.
And so I figured out how to get it off the camera onto my computer.
Digitize it.
Windows Movie Maker, 31 seconds. I called it test video. So I put like a ton of creative energy into this thing. Right. It was just like, can I get it on YouTube? And that was March 2nd, 2006.
Nice.
And so then after like the next week, I was like, oh, I'm gonna like make videos going out with my girlfriend. And so we make little videos going out to the park, going out to eat, going to movies, and today you might call them vlogs, but back then it was just being awkward in public with a camera, So we would just make little videos, and I post them on YouTube.
Do you have a camcorder?
Yeah, 8mm camera, and I'd post them on YouTube, send them by email to my family, because it was way better than like sending them the MOVs, which were like really difficult back then. And then it wasn't too long, like other people started watching, and I'm like, where did you come from? Why are you, like, these videos aren't for you, these are for my family. It was kind of creeping me out, because it was like MySpace days, when if someone knew who you were on the internet, they would come hunt you down and kill you for some reason. Right. And I was like, who is Catlicker69? And should I be concerned that they're watching my videos?
Every single one of my videos.
And they keep commenting.
First.
So that's when I reached out to some people. I think some mutual friend, Naltz, was one of the first people I reached out to. Yeah.
He was a grandfather for me. I was just in a previous interview talking about an ebook that he wrote.
Yeah, I read that.
And I read that thing multiple times. There was no other information on how to be a YouTuber out there. He was one of the first.
Yeah, and so I reached out to him, and just a few questions, and he's like, he called me actually, like I gave him my number, like just in case that's easier, and he called me like a couple minutes later, and was like, hey, I just got and he actually lived like 2 miles from where I grew up, so we had that in
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and so he's like, these are great questions. I don't really know the answers to a lot of these. I'm like, okay. And then I reached out to someone else, same thing. They're like, we don't know. And so if you figure it out, Tim, let us know. And I said, all right, well, I like a good challenge. And so I very quickly became the guy who was like trying to figure this thing out. Didn't have a ton of answers, but other people are like, we don't know, but this guy Tim Schmoyer is trying to figure it out. Go talk to him. And so from the very early on, I just kind of ended up on like that industry side of YouTube, and just helping people try to figure out what's going on.
I just had Nick Nimmons here, and he was talking about last year coming to Vid Summit, and that was the first time that he had people coming up to him and saying, wow, your video really helped me. I'm making a full-time living at this now. Have you had those moments? Have you had those experiences?
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I like those moments. The ones that I like even more, though, personally, are the ones where people are like, I'm making a full-time income from this now, but the stories I get excited about are the ones that like, but my life is different.
Yeah.
Now, you know, like it's people who didn't commit suicide because of videos that we made. It's I still remember, like, this was like the aha moment for me back in like 2007 or 8. I married that girl, by the way, I was dating at the time.
Yeah.
So like we kept making videos, and I still remember I got this email from this one lady. She's like, hey, you don't know who I am, but been watching your videos, and I just got married 2 months ago, and I'm already struggling in my relationship with my husband, and I don't know if we're gonna make it. She said, but then I saw that video of you and your wife talking about how you're just learning to love each other better. And she said, I shared that video with my husband, we talked about it, and we have hope again for our marriage. Just want to say thanks. You know, I'm like, oh, like that happened because of that video. You know, girls, I'm sure you guys have like a lot of these same stories, you know? Like
it's almost too good to be true sometimes. Like people tell me stuff like that, and I'm like, you're just saying that.
Like,
I didn't save your life. I didn't save your marriage. You know, it just feels like it's almost too good for me to accept in my heart. Like holy cow, really? Like you were affected that much by this video that I thought was just a fun video to put online?
Yeah, it's like another favorite one is like a girl said, hey, I've been watching you guys for a few years. I didn't grow up with a mom, and so I don't know what it's like to be a good mom or a wife, but I'm engaged and getting married next month, and because I've been watching your videos, I feel like I have at least an idea of what it's like to be a mom, you know? And obviously that's from my wife's side, but I'm like, that's like, we're not even trying to. So that's when I start having these like epiphany moments. I'm like, what if I could help other people impact other people's lives? Yeah. You know, so what if I could influence the influencers? And rather than like, yeah, we were doing like 1 million or so a month at that time on our family channel. Which is great. But like, what if I could exponentially scale this? So instead of just doing 1 million, what if I could impact people who literally did like 60 million, billions, right? And so that's when I started like, how do I actually scale life change? And I was working at a church at the time. It was great. It was fine. You know, I had about 180 kids, but I was like, 180 kids in like the youth group I'm working with. Like we were hearing the same stories come out of like YouTube as we were hearing with the people we were actually working with in person. Yeah. And I was like, people are people, whether they're watching on the internet or, I mean, there's obviously something valuable about face-to-face relationships and connections. So I'm not downplaying that at all. But there's some people who just would never have access or even talk to someone like us, right? But they'll watch this on YouTube. And so that's the driving force of what I do today is like, how do I help people impact people and change their lives with the messages that they're spreading? And even at video creators now, like my business where we do this full time, my team and I work with a lot of people. It's, you know, like even creator stories is like, hey, I was dyslexic, and I have a hard time reading and writing, but I've been watching your videos, my YouTube channel started growing, and I'm getting comments, and I'm like being forced to learn how to read and write, you know, and they're like, and I'm feeling like I have dignity now. People who were on disability and now are full-time and off of disability because they're full-time on YouTube, and they're like, I feel like I'm a valuable member of society now, like I'm contributing, you know, those types of stories. I'm like, that's great. Like money is great, but like to me, like that's just the tool that we use to actually reach people and change their lives. If like money's your goal and popularity is your goal, like it actually ruin your life. But if you use it to reach people and change their lives as a tool, you could have like massive impact, right?
Have you heard this term about like the new billionaire will be defined as somebody that doesn't have $1 billion but has influenced 1 billion people, or like can help 1 billion people, which is so, I think Jason Silva has talked about this, but just the availability or the ability to really have an influence on that many people is real, especially when you start looking at, you know, networking through other creators and like spreading that stuff, you know, like the way that it does or it goes viral and whatever.
So now with video creators, the thing I get most excited about, you know, I was like 1 million people for our channel, great, a month. But our company now has worked with creators and helped them, since they started working for us, with us, we've helped them earn 14 billion views, 61 million subscribers. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm going after. It's like, I could be content with my 1 million, or I could help other people impact literally 14 billion.
People. Here's what I was going to ask. How do you help creators not undervalue themselves? How do you teach creators to ask for what they're worth? And how do you find that value other than Social Blue Book? Like,
it's hard to define that value because like I think, especially if you're just like a hobby creator, you're not coming from a business mindset necessarily. You're just kind of coming from a, you know, I have X number of subscribers. How much is that worth? Like, well, it depends.
Right.
Like on lots of variables, as you know. And I usually just say, whatever you think you're worth, start twice as high. And then you can always come down, right? But, and there's some people who are like, I'm worth $1 million. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
You know? So there's those people, but for the most part, yeah, just like, and I understand that because you're just coming like, I don't know.
Nervous,
yeah,
you know,
like I want them to say yes, and I can't deal with rejection if they say no.
Right.
You know, so it's,
there's this term in real estate that I heard once that said if you're not embarrassed about your offer, you're offering too much. Or, you know, it's like when you make an offer on a piece of real estate, you want to offer like, you know, half of what they're asking or whatever. So it's kind of the same concept when you're, you know, asking to like double what you think maybe you're worth. And a lot of times the brand will pay it. I've been in a lot of scenarios where they've offered and I'd be like,
me too.
No, I'll do it for twice that. And they're like, okay. I'm like, really?
Well, no, like I'll pitch twice as much expecting to negotiate down.
Right.
And they're like, okay. I'm like, oh, all right then.
Yeah.
So that's,
and then you get confidence for the next time too. And I think that's what a lot of new creators don't realize is they get so wrapped up in the, wow, somebody wants to pay me to make a video? Like how cool, when they don't realize that, yeah, I mean, what you're offering is very valuable and it's new. I can't remember who said it, but it's this word of mouth on steroids. You know, like that has always been traditionally the very best form of marketing is, you know, a friend tells their friend about a good movie. These people who watch you raise your 7 kids and have twins and try to build this business and stuff, they trust you. And when you promote something, they know that it's a good thing. And I think a lot of creators, and you can say whatever, there's definitely creators who do stuff just for the money, but I'd like to believe, and it seems to me that a majority of people make brand deals with stuff that they like, that they genuinely like. And I've tried to stick with that at least. It's like, I'm not gonna, you're not gonna be successful at promoting something that you kind of think is a crappy product just because you're getting paid for it. Do you have that where creators get deals and they just hate the product but they do it anyways?
Occasionally, yeah, occasionally that happens, and I think that's just a bad experience for everybody.
Do you have a company that's been like your worst brand deal ever? And do you want to say their name on camera?
Sure. I mean, I had one.
There's a car company that I've worked with, and I'm like, I will never work with them again.
Yeah, there's definitely a company where I did. It was like an ongoing thing, and they paid me to do like a series of videos and podcast episodes, and it was a big thing. And they were good clients. They paid really well, and they were just like very hands off and just like whatever. We just have this budget, just take it, right?
Right.
So, but. And I have this principle, like I always use the product myself first before I talk about it, because I feel like I can talk about it better.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more authentic and things like that. But and so I used it and didn't have any problems. But then I started talking about it. Other people started buying and using it, and I started hearing like how terrible this actually was. Mostly like their customer service. People like questions, problems, and it was just terrible. And then it actually started. I felt like I got to the point where it was hurting my reputation to recommend them.
Right.
And so I went back to them. I said, I can't do this. Like I've sent them 100% of their money back, even though I already completed half of the agreement. And I said, here's all your money, and I just can't do this anymore because it's actually hurting me. And so I haven't worked with them since.
What'd they say? They're just like, okay.
Yeah, they're just like, okay, whatever. but it was one of those companies where it's like, every time you talk to them, there's like someone new.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's just so much turnover.
Right.
That it was kind of like, they weren't, the person I went back to like wasn't even there anymore.
Right.
And so it was like someone else who was, and they're just like, okay.
That happened to me once with Sony. They paid me to do this video, and I made this video, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to upload it. And they're like, oh, we have a new CEO now, and they don't want to upload any of these videos. We'll still pay you, but we don't want you to upload the video. I was like, great.
Sure, whatever.
They sent me the full check, and I was like, but I was still sad because I was like, oh, I like this video. I want to upload it. So it's like I wanted to upload it just because, but I definitely cashed the check. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, about money and brand deals. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely worked with brands where it's like their notes are ridiculous, and they come back and they're like, you sighed right here at minute 3:12. Can you cut? It's like, no. And there's definitely been times where I just like take your money back.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
want to work with you. I don't want to be associated with you. So that's something that I don't think that people realize that happens in the industry. Is
Absolutely,
there's
yeah.
definitely brand deals that go awry.
Yeah.
I've asked this a few people. What's the biggest brand deal you've ever had? Will you give us an amount?
Can I say that it's not a brand deal? Like,
Is it not? Okay.
So like maybe if you want me to go a different direction, totally just cut me off. But my thing is like I would rather sell my own thing than someone else's thing, and that's like easily 5 to 10 fold the revenue. You get the 100% of the profit instead of a small part of someone else's like marketing budget.
When did you realize that? Because I remember when I realized that, I'm like, these brands are paying me so much to push their thing. There must be real value.
Absolutely.
I need to create my own products.
Absolutely, yeah. And you don't need to wait for like, because some of these creators go, they survive from deal to deal to deal, and it's stressful. Like, where's my next deal going to come from? And like, oh, this one didn't pay as much, but we need something, and I would rather not talk about it, but I don't have anything else lined up, so And I didn't want to ever get in that position, and I felt like if they're going to pay me $5,000 to talk about their thing, they're probably hoping, banking, typically like 25,000 is going to come back to them somehow, right? And I'm like, if my audience is worth 25K, I would rather just make my own thing.
Right.
And but then it's something that is like exactly aligned with the value of my channel, my value proposition. It's created for me specifically for my audience. It's something that I personally created, poured my blood, sweat, and tears into. Something that I truly, deeply believe is just going to change the world and is like super valuable. I end up selling differently when I actually believe those things.
Yeah.
And it sells way better than when I just do a brand deal. But then what happens is my brand deals actually become more valuable because now I know how to sell, which makes the value. And I know my stats. I know if I do this, it converts like this. If I don't do that, it doesn't convert right. And so I worked with one brand. They said, Tim, you were the smallest channel that we worked with in this whole deal, but your audience converted 18 times higher than the largest channel we worked with.
Interesting.
And I think it's because I've always had products and sales as a part of my relationship with my audience, and I've learned how to sell to them, not in a manipulative way, but like there's like a higher level of trust, and it's not like, whoa, I don't want to make a transaction with you. Like they're used to that.
Right.
So yeah, I think when you have your product, your brand deal values actually go higher because people they look at my stats and numbers. They're like, that number you're charging doesn't match with what your stats are.
Right.
I'm like, yes, but I know how it converts. I know how to sell it, and that makes it go way higher.
It seems like the new Creator app has click-through analytics on it. Like they're running a beta version of it. I just saw that.
Thumbnails, yeah.
So I ask myself sometimes, like, how, sociologically speaking, is it healthy for us to have our kids on camera? It's like I've vlogged for 10 years now, and our kids have, they've been all over the internet. And, my first priority as a parent is to protect my children. I love my kids. I sleep with the doors locked. I got guns. I got dogs. I got alarms, but it's like, is it...
Booby traps?
Yeah, booby traps. I'm thinking about Fortnite now. Yeah. I got a spike strip that's above my door that'll come down if they walk into my house. How is it, do you think, I feel like there's going to be some sociological studies that come out about this screen and about us being on camera and stuff. And I wonder what you think about like kids being on the internet. And we've been accused of exploiting our kids. I've never forced my kids to be on the camera. It's always been fun. If somebody's not having a good time or somebody's in a bad mood, I'm not filming. What are your thoughts on that?
I still don't have anything too deep for you. It's just kind of like we see our family as a unit, not necessarily like isolated individuals who are cohabiting the same space, really. And as a unit, this is what our family does. So we're all on the same team. We're all supporting each other, and like this is our family's mission.
It's a family business.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they get paid, and so.
I just worry about that criticism, I guess, a lot as as a father YouTuber, you know, you think about other family businesses where kids are growing up. You know, your dad's a dairy farmer. You got to get up and go milk the cows in the morning.
People worry too much
about
like,
that.
There's too many people with too much free time, and they worry more about our lives than they do their own. You know, and yeah, like. Were kids psychologically damaged by getting up at 4 a.m. and working their butts off at the dairy farm until they had to go to school and then walk uphill in both directions in snow and sleet? You know, like whatever.
Gary Vee said yesterday, he said, "I wish your grandparent could come out of the ground and punch you in the face." Yeah, like we should not be complaining about anything. Like the availability of water is such a simple thing for us, where there's ladies that have to hike 5 miles and carry a bucket on their head.
Have you been to a third world country?
Yeah.
Once you go to a third world country and you actually see it, you're like, oh man, all these things we are worrying about are so frivolous.
I lived in Guyana for 7 months, and literally the light that people would have would be a car battery with the wire around it that went up to a light bulb, and that was their light in their house. So
they send a 7-year-old to like scamper up some like pole and tap into someone else's electric thing, and they don't know anything about electricity.
To get energy.
I'm not saying that's safe. I'm just saying like we worry about different things.
That's very true.
It's a first world problem.
That's very true. So okay, I was going to ask you about Facebook. How much are you Facebook watch? I hear that something's happening there, like they're doing ad breaks and stuff now. Are you taking advantage of that? Because I think forever I've wanted to, but Facebook has never shared revenue, so it's like, and plus they don't publish to your entire audience. So I've kind of been away from Facebook. Is that changing now?
It depends on what kind of audience you're going after. I'm not like a Facebook expert necessarily, but we are in the Launchpad program, and we do get paid by Facebook to upload there and post videos there and stuff. So, and we do have ad breaks and things on there. And I have been stopped and recognized in public. I always assume it's YouTube. Like, oh yeah, someone shared your Facebook. I like watching on Facebook every day now. I'm like,
really?
What? I'm like, hold on, what did you just say? I was like, because it's not massive audience there for us. It's, you know, a couple hundred views of video, you know, so it's not like anything huge. But the shareability features built in, that's way more than it happens there than on YouTube, right? Yeah. And people can get notified if they choose to enable that for your page and things, and the watch page now. And so Facebook's making a big push, but whether or not it's right for everyone, I still think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, I've been shocked at. I feel like they drug their feet on that for a long time, as far as like sharing revenue with creators, when YouTube, you know, pioneered it, and you know, so many creators are making a living on there. I think Facebook strategically waited.
I think that was smart, because if you remember the days of when AdSense, the partner program, YouTube was invite only.
Yeah, and you had to apply for it.
Yeah, and you were like custom channel, or like that clickable stuff. You remember that?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I have a custom banner. Yeah. So
you got perks.
Yeah, and that was great. It was invite only because they were controlling supply, and now when they opened it up, everybody, it was like supply went through the roof. Yeah. The demand's like slowly working its way back up. Right. But now, you know, some people are making pennies.
I've thought that. I'm like, there's too much content. I mean, I think we were always like, oh, everybody can be a YouTuber, but you can't. Like, not everybody can be successful on YouTube, because there's just a finite amount of eyeballs and a finite amount of time. And, you know, well, I don't know what the stat is now, that's like every second another year is uploaded to YouTube or whatever crazy number it is. But it just dawns on me that, you know, because of this industry, it's changed so many people's lives. Like, I just keep thinking about what you're saying about people watching us, about how to become a better mom or whatever. It's like a lot has been said about daily vlogging, but if you think about all of the influence that daily vlogging has had on the world, it's almost unquantifiable, it seems like. Okay, well, thanks for being here, Tim. We appreciate you here at Social Blue Book. You guys check out Tim. He is the go-to man for all of the insider info and tips and tricks on YouTube. Of course, like always, we will leave his links below. go watch him on Facebook and YouTube, and follow him on all of the social medias. One last tip. Look right into the camera and give these guys the best tip you have, Tim Schmoyer.
Best tip that I have is that you guys definitely need to know who you're going after and why they should care. It's no longer about like, look at me, I'm so awesome, I'm going to be famous one day. It's about who am I going after and what message do I have that could impact and change their lives. And delivering that value over and over and over again consistently in every video you do so your audience keeps coming back and wanting to consume more and more of that value. Because at the end of the day, it's about reaching people and changing their lives. So.
Amen. All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right, cool, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yep.